Homeboy Sandman and Aesop Rock have joined forces yet again, and this time it's not only for a new Lice track, but also for Homeboy Sandman's upcoming EP, Angelitu, which should be dropping in August, I believe. And this whole EP is going to be produced by Aesop Rock. But, as I alluded to, there is a new Lice track as well, titled Lice Team Baby. And as you would expect, features Aesop Rock. So, let's go bar for bar and break down these lyrics. If you are new to the channel, these breakdowns is where I go through and read out the lyrics and give my interpretation of what the artist is trying to say. Might not be right, so if you feel like I missed something or misinterpreted anything, feel free to let me know in the comments. That way everyone can learn a little bit more. Especially with this song because the lyrics weren't readily available, so I had to transcribe it myself, and I had a lot of trouble with these lyrics, so you'll see when I post them in the video all the question marks. First off, let's look at the album cover. Or the cover art, I guess. It's basically just a text conversation between Ace and Homeboy Sandman. It's a screenshot from Homeboy Sandman. So he said, "Lice is a blood oath," to which Ace responded, "Lice was actually the first ever interracial Siamese twins ever. Scientists separated them at birth, but they were drawn to one another later in life." And then Sandman responds, "That's the most beautiful thing anyone has ever said to me." Anyways, getting into the song, it starts off with a "Hit 'em again," which gets repeated in between the verses. It's not quite a chorus, it's just kind of there. But then that goes right into Homeboy Sandman's verse.
No, I got a cow song, then I got a plant song. Before I swing my swan song, I'ma swing a hack song.
So I'm not incredibly familiar with Homeboy Sandman's work, but apparently he has a cow song and a plant song. But I think that is just him trying to say that he appeals to people who like a variety of things. Like, I mean, if you're going to get really specific, I mean, meat eaters and plant eaters, I guess. So he's like, I got something for everyone. And before he sings his swan song, which is typically your final song or the last thing you do before you die or as you're about to die, he's going to swing his hacksaw.
Wherever the hacksaw, more sand, Madagascar, catch wreck, most wreck this side of NASCAR. Don't hate, you will be very sorry.
So he's going to be swinging his hacksaw wherever the hacks are. Hacks being just anyone who's not good, I guess, or anyone who he feels that he is better than, anyone who's coming at him in any sort of way. Basically any opponent in this case. More sand than Madagascar. Don't know where he's going with that. I mean, I guess there's just more sand where the hacks are than Madagascar. Cats wreck this out of NASCAR. So cats, like the animal, literally wreck things because some of them are just assholes and they just knock things over. But also cats as in people. These people are wrecking things. Like these hacks, I'm assuming he's continuing this conversation about these cats are just doing things that aren't helping anyone and they're just making things worse. And then he compares that wreckage to wrecks in NASCAR, which can be big fiery explosions. Don't hate, you'll be very sorry. I think that's just him addressing people who may hate him for some reason. But, I mean, he'll just come after you, probably with a hacksaw.
Get 8 like letters that are passed off. Too deep for the primitive mind and hard to mimic, only living for a limited time. What up? Let me tell you what my life like.
Get 8 light letters of the past are... Pastor. Maybe he's trying to say El Pastor. But no, letters of the past being like old languages, like languages that are no longer spoken or written or read. Like they're just, well, one, they're gone. Like a lot of them are gone. No one's really reading them. But people are also eating them up as far as like research. So maybe that's where he's going. Or just letters of the past being like actual written letters to people. Like these letters are getting sent out or being found and people are analyzing them. Or even further, people are literally eating those letters because those letters in the past might not have been something that should have been sent and they wanted to destroy all evidence. And it's too deep for the primitive mind. I have no idea what he's saying. So primitive brain. I'm trying. But no, like what he's saying in general is his lyrics are too deep for the primitive mind. he has a lot to say, and it's not easy to decipher right away. But that makes it fun, and it's hard to mimic. And then he goes and tells you what his life is like with the next few lines.
2024 sight, 2020 hindsight, 2020 hindsight. Thank God with a hot wire and a hot rod and an outline for providing your Ross Clyde. With the book of life, last chapter is happening.
2020, foresight, hindsight, onsight. 2020 hindsight has always been like, it's so clear to when you look at things in the past, like, oh yeah, that's clearly what we should have done or where I messed up. But I mean, that's not always going to be something that you can really change. But he's also saying 2020 foresight, so everything he's seeing in the future or in his future is very clear to him. And then it's 2020 on-site. When they're on-site, it's very clear. Also, things might pop off there. And then the next two lines, I honestly have no idea what he's saying because he goes a little bit faster and it gets a little bit muffled for me, so I just guessed. It sounded like he was saying something about hot wiring a hot rod. I don't know what that means. Like, why would he bring that up now? That's what I'm trying to understand. So I might have misread that, so let me know. And the outline fucker riding Ross Clyde. I don't know why you would bring up Ross Clyde here, but I could also be mishearing it as well. So with the book of life's last chapters happening, I mean, it's the end of days in his mind. Like, he's seeing all these things that are happening in the world, and he's like, oh, we're almost done.
Fattening the parasite in my past life, first cat to put my hat on backwards. Before that, I trained Raptors, working on my karma, but I've always been a character.
So he's fattening the parasite in his past life. If you look at the lice cover, it's actual lice, but it looks like a parasite, and it's pretty fat, at least from what I remember. But also, just parasites are just that. They live inside of you and just eat whatever you're eating. Kind of like a tapeworm. Don't look up tapeworms. And then he's saying he had to put his hat on backwards before he trained the raptors. That just sounds like he's on some Jurassic Park type shit. But kind of like a Pokemon reference, but I don't think that's where he's going. Because if you have watched Pokemon, the main character, Ash, typically turns his hat backwards when he's about to get into a battle. So maybe that's what he's saying, or he's referencing there. But, I mean, also, whenever someone turns their hat backwards, things get a little more serious, I feel.
Judge, jury, and the janitor, round the block, benching the Vanica. Nothing's happy, but I'm living happily ever after. He's
working on his karma, so he's trying to do better things in life. As far as the EP goes, there was a bit of a note regarding yin yang, so pulling that into it makes a little bit of sense, the duality and finding balance. So he's, if anything, trying to reset his karma to be at least even, maybe. And he's just been around the block, around the clock. Benjamin Banneker, I believe, was the creator of the clock as we know it. Nothing's happy, but he's living happily ever after. Things might not be happy right now in his life or in the world, but he's, I guess, assuming that in the end he'll be living happily ever after. Like, after he passes, or after we get through all this, which could be pulling into that karma bit.
Look up and you'll see my number hanging in the rafters. Lady people like to call me OG. How nice of you to make a fuss a little old me.
Look up and you'll see my number in the rafters. Oftentimes in sports, if you were a very well-performing player, or if you just did well, if you made a name for yourself, your number would be retired and it would be hanging in the rafters. And then people like to call him OG, and he's like, oh man, how nice. This then goes into the hit him again, like I mentioned before, and then we get Aesop Rock's verse, which was even harder for me to transcribe. So there's going to be a lot of question marks here.
I stole fire from a god, crept in quiet as a mime in a box, crept down quiet as a pear in a bluff, now it smells like smoke anywhere that I want.
He stole fire from a god. I know that's a reference to something that I'm just totally blanking on. It's like I don't think it's a Bible story. I think it's something in mythology, but I'm drawing a blank now. Crippling Quiet is a mime in a box. A mime in a box is just crippled, essentially. Like, he can't do anything. Like, first of all, the mime is quiet, but it's also in a box, so it's just stuck there. Crept down, quiet as a pear in a bluff. I don't know. It smells like smoke anywhere that I walk. I think that's because he stole the fire from the god. But also, I mean, it's just everywhere he goes, he's spinning hot fire.
I am too impatient about the dough, but more go for the bozo nose and ghost. The boy slick like 3 kids stacked in an overcoat. Had a 21 and over show with soap other.
He's too impatient to rope-a-dope. He's not trying to fight you. He's not in the mood to do so. More gope, I don't know what that means, but for bozo nose and ghosts, it sounds like he's calling them clowns, which makes sense. I mean, he doesn't want to fight a clown, or he's just like, I got no time for you. The boy's so slick, he's so slick, like 3 kids in an overcoat. And the 21 and over show was so bugger. I'm not sure if he said that, but the way he said it made it sound very dope. So oftentimes, if you've watched literally any show with children who are like the children and then people who are older in it, the kids sometimes try to sneak into things that they aren't allowed to, whether it be like a movie or a club or a bar. So to do so, they stack up on each other in a giant overcoat and do business things.
Guess a little song for the summer. Name unknown, code name no sucker. Walks in while we strobe in the smoke on the water. Call for the robot drummer.
Guess who's home for the summer? I'm assuming it's him. Name unknown, code name no sucker. So yeah, I mean, I think that's because Ace tends to be very, very to himself, very private. So yeah, his name would be unknown to a lot of people, but his code name is he's not a sucker, basically. Waltzing, I don't know what he said there exactly, but something about waltzing with strobe and smoke on the water, which could be talking about the 21 and over show that they were talking about earlier, and then hope for the robot drummer. Like, if there's all this water, I mean, the robot drummer is in danger. Again, I could have misheard any of these lyrics.
5, 6, 7, 8, eye of the renegade, ready for whatever might die and regenerate. Even if school heads grow, wearing one's cut, one head growing.
5, 6, 7, 8, kind of like a count-in for that a drummer would do at the beginning of a song or a performance. And this count-in is basically him being like prepared for whatever. And this whatever is whatever might die and regenerate. And I mean, if you're fighting things, sometimes, I mean, if you're fighting like a monster, you don't know if it's just going to regenerate. And then even if it's 2 heads where one's grown. So I think that's a Hydra where you cut 1 head off and 2 grow in its place. So he's ready for even that. First bit, I have no idea, but I think it's just saying that like whatever Ace is ready for and prepared to deal with, a featherweight would have no idea what to do. Like they would get destroyed. He's forked horseman, dropped the fork in. I don't know if that was exactly what he's trying to say, but basically it sounds like kind of in reference to what Homeboy Sandman was saying about the end of days, or the book of life's, or yeah, the end of the book of life is happening. Basically, like he's fought horsemen, being the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And then that's the primary source of the sword wind. The only things that would make sense here as far as sword wind would be like sword martial arts, which is supposed to be like hella old, but also apparently it's the first issue of the Berserk manga, so that also could very well be what he's talking about.
It's a cold breeze followed by a short pinch, then a bright light, shit pure bliss. Now breaking storm in your XL vortex, who wore better, I'm gorgeous.
So now he could be describing the sword wind. It's a cold breeze followed by a short pinch. And then the bright lights, I guess that could be associated with it, but Not entirely sure. Now, Break the Storm in New York is it's El Gore-Tex. So, in New York, I mean, it can get stormy. He's also from the area. And to break the storm, you wear Gore-Tex, because that's fully water resistant. And then, who wore better? I'm gorgeous. He thinks very highly of himself right now.
UFO dashboard on porpoise. Please hold while I order the swordfish. Yeah, I'm a swordfish.
I want to say that he was saying like European dashboard, but I wasn't entirely sure. But the dashboard is all porpoise, which means the dashboard is made out of dolphin. That's kind of messed up, but all right. But it could also be just an allusion to be things being very high end and very flashy and fancy. Like, you know, rich people just tend to do wild things like that. And then please hold while he orders this whole swordfish, and then he orders a swordfish to kind of make it seem like he is the person who has this porpoise dashboard. Then we get to the Hit 'em Agains again, and the song closes out with Homeboy Sandman saying, "We got ace on beats, sand on rhymes, ace on rhymes, go," which goes a few times. I want to say like 5 or 6 times. And then it switches from when it says ace on rhymes, it changes to him saying ace on rhymes, sand on rhymes, ace on rhymes, sand on rhymes, just repeating. This is kind of just talking about the entire project, I feel, because Ace was fully producing this project and Sandman was on rhymes. But on this track in particular, Ace was also on rhymes. I really enjoyed the song, and it was a lot faster than I was expecting it to be. I don't know why I expected it to be a slower sort of song, but they went in very quickly. But yeah, it was fun. I haven't actually checked out the other tracks that have come out for this EP so far. Honestly, because it just didn't pop up for me. I didn't see it anywhere. I saw this one because, I mean, the thing is, whenever Aesop Rock does something, more people talk about it than if it's just Homeboy Sandman. And that kind of sucks. But I guess that's just kind of how it is right now. But maybe things will change with this project because Ace is producing the entire thing. They have really good chemistry here. And they're just rapping their asses off. Like, I know I went through a lot of this pretty quickly, but there's a very good chance that I missed something. Like, especially because of all the question marks. Like, I couldn't hear exactly what they're saying. So, yeah, like I said, let me know if I misheard something, because that is definitely possible. Like, I spent a long time trying to figure out what they're saying here. But no, this song was fun. It's weird because the whole Hit 'em Agains made it feel very aggressive, which isn't something that I would typically expect from Aesop Rock. Like, in my mind, even though I've listened to his music, but in general, like, I feel like he's more laid back and just kind of a chill dude. So for him to like be on the chorus saying "hit him again" is like, okay, cool. Let's see what you're saying. I am looking forward to the EP, which, like I said, should be dropping in a couple of weeks. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this song, and definitely let me know if I missed something or misread anything or misinterpreted something with these lyrics, because, like I said, totally possible, and I don't know everything. So help your boy out. Also, like and subscribe if you want to see more breakdowns and content like this. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.